Welcome, everyone. I am streaming from mountain internet, desert internet, so it might get a little pixelated every now and again, but you just have to reload. Usually that fixes it. Right now I'm just looking at a game I played over the board yesterday against a national master, and it was the first time I have ever played a move that wasn't c5 against e4 in my entire life. So I was it was kind of a stressful situation for me. But the last time I played this person, which was just the week before, at a different tournament, it was a Nightorf, and it was just not a line. It was this line. It was with bishop g5, and I played this knight b6 move that Geary recommends, but it was just very difficult for me to find a plan, and I just got outplayed. So I knew that he played kind of weird openings, trick openings against e5, so I decided to do a little last minute prep the night before and play e5 for the first time in my life. And he plays a fried liver. I think that's what this is called. I don't know. My entire life I've played c5. First I played like an O'Kelly Sicilian, then I played a dragon, then I played an accelerated dragon, then I played a hyper accelerated dragon, now I play a Nightorf. But so these are gonna lead to positions I don't know very well. This is all theory, and this is like a breaking point where the night before I was trying to decide what I was gonna play here, and my coach, I suppose, Josh, said he likes this move to take here and sack this exchange. But I was looking at it and it seemed like this got pretty good results, throwing h6 in first and then takes, and queen d7 is important. And the point is that you've opened up the g file, the king is in the center, he has 0 pieces developed, and the queen could possibly get trapped at some point. So, you're down an exchange and a pawn, but you have full compensation here, and it's a lot easier for black to play. So this is what ended up happening, and there were a few plans I was aware of here, and one being b4 in a4 to avoid getting the queen trapped. But then you reroute your knight to d4, and if you play something like castles, you play rook g8, and knight f3 is an idea, and that was the only idea I was really aware of. So that's what I was playing for, and it's just pretty bad, so it actually wants to just do this, the computer. And white has compensation here, obviously. He has a lot of pieces and a lot of pawns, but black should be fine here. So that was an idea I was aware of, and then I was also aware of a draw line where after queen d7 they play queen f3, rook g8, or wait, no, I'm sorry. Happened again. Oh yeah, bishop b7 takes, rook g8, queen e5, bishop b7, queen b8, bishop d8, and this is a draw. Or white can move the queen somewhere else, but white will probably be losing if this happens. So those were the two ideas I was aware of with my last minute prep, and he played neither one of those moves. He played d4, and then I had to think for a long time, because it's always good to take some time when your opponent deviates from the good moves that you looked at. If they play something else, then it's probably not good, and you should probably sit there and figure out why it's not good. And I thought for 10 minutes here, I think. Let me make sure. With 12. I thought for 6 minutes here, which is, kind of a lot for the opening, especially this time control. But I decided on c6, knight c6, because, again, this was just the only idea I really knew of, and I thought it would be good to just box the queen in, and I would develop my pieces. He castled, and I am actually completely winning here. I didn't know this was the idea, so I didn't look for it. It's a little bit weird looking, but it's actually not that hard to find. So it's black to play and win here. If you're on the YouTube, pause the video. I already revealed the answer earlier, but yeah, so king e7, and then like bishop b7 is unstoppable, but which is I'm really mad at myself, because that's quite an easy thing to see. I just wasn't looking for it. I did realize that d4 was probably not good, and this was probably not good, but Again, like, I just thought this was I thought I was just going to do an attack. And it didn't occur to me until later that king e7 was the idea. And when I did end up playing it, it was actually a losing move. So it's kind of a ridiculous game full of blunders. So, yeah, so I play rook g8 because I want to play knight d4, knight f3, bishop b7. And the point is to unpin the bishop. So, I'm still doing fine here. He plays knight c3, and I have to really consider d5 if that's his idea. And I didn't really know what was happening here. Maybe I should still play king e7. I think my move was probably a mistake. But again, yeah, I just don't have a feel for this position at all because I've literally never played it before in my life. So I ended up taking on d4, which is a mistake. I wanted to take this pawn, and yeah, he can just kind of, since the knight is on c3 in this line, it kind of messes everything up, because after bishop b7, he'll have knight e4, which I don't think I realized until it was too late. Maybe rook d1 is what he should play here. He played bishop e3, which is apparently a double question mark blunder. And I was just having trouble evaluating every single position I looked at, just because there's so many imbalances. So bishop e3 is really interesting because the best move, I'm like a little bit better. I'm like plus 0.8. And the second best move is actually what I played, and I'm -4 there. So, again, black to play and not lose. Does queen g4 work? Well, what does queen g4 do? I mean, you're not really even threatening anything, are you? Are you threatening this, possibly? It's annoying because, if he ever plays something like this, it's actually mate in 4 here. I should throw this in because this is something I saw during the game, which is another reason I liked knight d4. Also, if he plays this move, man. Yeah, I was gonna play bishop d6. That's best. Okay, bishop d6, and then I'm threatening to play bishop b7, so he can't do that. But yeah, so after knight d5, it's mate in 4. No, not queen. Queen g4 hangs a queen, unfortunately. So here it's kind of a cool mating pattern, but you play rook takes g7, check, and knight e2 is mate. So that's like, he can never block the queen. That's a factor that we had to consider all the time. The queen always has to be defending the g-pawn, otherwise that could happen. So, yeah. Okay, that's another reason I liked knight d4. But anyway, bishop e3, what does black play here? And this is a really difficult position. I was kind of upset after this game, but I mean, to play the best move, you have to just, like, be really good at just evaluating an imbalanced position. That's really hard to do. So knight f3 doesn't do anything, again, because he has this annoying move, so that's never gonna work. Which is kind of why I played the move I played. I kind of wanted to prepare that. So I played king e7 here. And there is a slight problem with king e7 in this position, where it was very good in the other one. So but white to play and win now. I didn't see this idea, neither did he. It's kind of fucked up looking. Knight d5, and then I play king e6, and then what? This is what I was looking at, and I thought, okay, the knight has no squares, and this is a threat, this is a threat. Thought it would be doing very, very good here. Bishop takes knight is, I think, a losing move because of bishop b7. And then I'm going to take here and threaten mate and threaten the bishop. So you can't really do that because you're definitely losing here. Maybe I can even play rook g2. Nah, I don't think that works. But so yeah, you have to, I guess, play f3, which is horrendous. And then I go here, and I am comfortably, I have 2 bishops for the rook, and the king is in a little bit of danger. So, this is what I was looking at when I played king e7. Unfortunately, yes, there's after knight d5, there's knight f4. And the g-pawn is defended now, which I did not realize. It just didn't occur to me that he could just... Because if I take, then he has this move, and this is resignable. In my head, when I briefly looked at that move, I was like, whatever, I just moved my king somewhere, maybe a perpetual happens. But now after this move, it doesn't matter if I have this. Because, well, first of all, he has this check. And this isn't good anymore, because the knight can take, or the queen can take. So, I did not see knight f4, neither did he, though, so that was very lucky. He played queen d5. And again, like, I have to play very accurately here if I don't want to be worse. The only move that makes any sense is bishop b7, because, okay, like, what else am I gonna do? Trading is kind of giving up all my play, because, I mean, I could have developed this piece with a tempo and then had some play against his king, so... And I can't really avoid trading queens, because he's gonna take here. Knight e2 might be something to consider, but he just goes king h1 and I have nothing. So I played bishop b7, takes, and he played f3, which shocked me. It's really hard to find a move, because this threat looks so deadly. And, you know, like, playing g3 is apparently fine, but allowing this diagonal to open is... Well, first of all, I think it's just a perpetual if I want one. Play, like, knight e1. I think if he goes to h3, he might lose to, like, this... here. Where is the mate? I could play like that or something. I don't know how he would prevent that. It looks like that's just a win. So okay, but yeah, he could just take a perpetual here if he wants one, but he's the higher rated player, so he doesn't want to do that. So I understand why he didn't do it. Maybe rook f to d1, or I mean rook a to d1 or rook f to d1 or something. Probably this rook to give his king a square, pin the knight, and if I take now he has the square for his king. White's doing fine here. If I take with the bishop, he could take. He could just take this probably, and it's another perpet. So I guess I understand. So he played a bad move, but it was just, I guess he just really didn't want to draw me, which doesn't make sense because I had like 12 different draws I could have taken at one point or another. But the problem with f3 is I just take it, and if he takes back, then I'm not even down material anymore, and I have two bishops, and I have his king is all messed up, and he has to worry about these pawns. So he plays king f2, and yeah, and then I was just confused because I thought I was completely winning here, and I am. I'm +5. I just want to check how much time I had. I had 30 minutes left. He threw this check in. I go to e6. My king is great here. And then he takes on a7. And this bishop becomes very annoying later on in the game. But, okay, I take on g2. I thought he was going to resign soon. He played e1. This isn't mate because he goes here, so... But it's almost mate. So I wanted to set that up. So I played b4, knight e2, bishop a6, and, you know, and I didn't realize that knight g1 was, like, he was fine here. I mean, he's completely losing, but he's not getting checkmated, and I started seeing ghosts here. Okay, so what I have to do now is evaluate, okay, is he ever able to play rook d2 and kick my rook out, or trade rooks? If he trades rooks, then I'm, losing. So, like, say I play this move, yes, sorry. Say I play this move, and he goes here. If I take, then... I mean, I guess the h-pawn just runs. I don't know, I'm just an idiot. But, what I was looking at was, if I take, and I was annoyed that he could go to d1, and I didn't know how to evaluate this position. And, I knew how to evaluate it. I thought I was winning here, but I didn't have faith that I would not blunder, and I was having like weird visions of him getting his rooks out and then pushing pawns, and I thought to myself, the only way I'm gonna lose this game is if he gets his pawns going, which is a bad thought. You shouldn't be thinking that way when you're playing chess. You should just be thinking about the chess. But I sat here and I thought for 10 minutes for no reason, and I looked over at my clock, and I have 14 minutes, I only have a delay, and I'm like, fuck, alright, I don't know what's happening, I'm just gonna play this move. I'm gonna play any move that doesn't hang material, and then hit the clock, because I can't. I was just, like, so caught up in my own head. I think if I weren't playing a titled player, and I weren't on board 1, and I'm not at my peak rating, like, I think I win this against anyone else. I think I win this if I have an increment, but I just, like, sort of relapsed in these, bad psychological thoughts, that always lose chess games for me. I mean, I'm still winning here, But, okay. He plays c3, and now I don't have much time at all. And how do I play this position? So, like, okay, my biggest problem is my bishop on f8. And I had no idea if the plan was to play bishop e7 and then do this. Oops. Which is clearly what I want to do. Or maybe e5, bishop d6. Or h6, bishop, or h5, bishop h6. And like, what do I... Should I take this, or should I leave it? Like, what do you do here? I was just having a lot of trouble deciding, and I think a mistake I made was I wasn't calculating, like, concrete lines. It's such a weird position. I was just trying to, like, just have a feeling for things, but I wasn't, like, looking at concrete lines. I played h5. That's a bad move. That's, like, the worst plan. I'm still winning, obviously. But, yeah, bishop e7 is the plan that I should go for. And that was what I was, like, my intuition was screaming at me, but I just didn't know what the fuck was happening, and I was seeing ghosts about him getting his rooks out, and I just got scared. And I decided, okay, I'll do this. I don't know. Push the pawn. Having a pawn advanced on the h file can't be bad. Did you consider putting the rook back on g2? I did, but I don't know, that's like... I made a huge concession for nothing then. So I played h5, and I played bishop h6, and he goes c2. You know, I'm still winning. Like, I haven't really ever spoiled my advantage yet. I play rook e4, because his king is running out of squares. Like, everything's looking kind of scary here. And, you know, if king f2, maybe... I was thinking about this. I don't know if it's good. But if I can get rid of his dark-scored bishop, I thought that would be a very good thing. So he played knight e2, and I have 10 minutes left. I played all these moves kind of quickly. What do you do here? Like, what's the plan now? Because it looks, I mean, you know, I think anyone would evaluate this position as black is winning, but the obvious moves aren't good. Bishop g5 is what I played. It's not a good move. So... I really underestimated... See, I had the right thought, I just didn't put it together. The only way I'm gonna lose this is if he gets his pawns going. So what should I do? I should fracture his pawn structure while I can. And then, you know, he's not gonna have any momentum if he only has one pawn. But I don't know, I have no time, and I'm like, okay, let's just keep trying to attack. But now he takes on b4. This is the threat. The bishop's running out of squares. What now? Bishop h4, bishop e2. So you would have lost 2, looks like. So the only good move is bishop b5, defending the threat this way, and... I don't know, I was just getting afraid of rook d8 or something here. I felt like he was being let out, and it was really stressing me out. And it's like, it's really hard to stay calm and compose yourself when you know you're winning, but you don't know how. And then he's just slowly getting out of the box, and you're like, this is like exactly what I was not supposed to do. And you have no time, so I just checked him, and then he played this move, and now I'm like, okay, well, I'll take, and I'll check, and yeah, okay, I'm threatening. I can't really play this because he has rook c6 winning the bishop, and he's probably winning there. So the only way to really defend this threat is by playing maybe king f5, or bishop b5, which is what I did. I'm still technically better here, but I'm definitely not winning anymore. He plays rook d2, and let's see how much time I had in this position. Okay, I had under 5 minutes, and then I stopped keeping score. The rest I don't have time for, because I just filled it in off of my opponent's score sheet after. So I have no time, and I have to do this good. And again, I was just... Instead of just pushing my pawn, which is obviously what I should do, it's just like a mistake I make every time in the endgame. I don't push my pawns when I should. I'm never able to judge accurately when to push the pawns and when not to push the pawns. I think that's my biggest weakness, actually, is pawns, like especially in an endgame context. I will not elaborate on that, but just trust me. So I was just scared of the pawns, so I was like, okay, I'll take a pawn, I guess. But then he goes here, and now I play h4, but now after h4 he has rook c3, and I did not realize this, at the time, because I was moving instantly. But after a4, okay, my bishop is trapped. I can't go here. I mean, I could go to e8, I guess, technically, but like, then the pawn goes and my bishop can't defend that way. My rook can't defend because of this. And so it's like, I thought for, you know, the remainder of my time basically, and I'm like, okay, I guess I have to take this. Actually, what I should do is take this pawn and just try and hold this endgame, which I definitely should be able to hold. I mean, unless I do something very wrong, I think I should draw this. But again, that's really hard. Like, I'm just gonna give him a rook. That's weird. So I just took a thing. But the problem is now he's trading rooks and I can't avoid it because of my knight. I just can't avoid trading rooks now. So I tried to do something. And, you know, he was like acting like he made a mistake or something. Alright, I'm not that bad. And then I tried to get the king going and I was hoping to get some counterplay, but it didn't end up happening for me. And I played on because I saw like a stalemating trick, sort of. Something. I was hoping for something like this. Okay, and it's not stalemate, but I thought it was. But then I flagged. But I don't know. This is close to a stalemate. Or something. If the rook is here, it's a stalemate. But yeah, let's take a look at that graph. If I have a graph. I think I have a graph. Look at that. Nice. Well, yeah, I mean, it was just like an absolutely... Listen, I feel better about it because... I hung knight f4 earlier in the game, so it's like, it's not like I played like just like a great game the whole time and lost. No, we were both blundering left and right, so... But I was just really in my head, and I was, I psyched myself out, and then I started retreating, because I was just seeing things that weren't there. Again, just not having any faith in myself, or confidence in my ability to win positions, which is why I wasn't going into certain positions, and I really do think that's why I lost. Obviously I can do a lot of work in the end game, so I can understand these, you know, like if I took on c3, I would win, probably. If I had just understood that, even with no time, I should know that it's good to just fracture the pawn structure. I shouldn't need to think very long about that. It should be something I just automatically do. So that's the biggest thing I have to work on. Just imagine you're Brian Wall and you'll never lose. I beat Brian Wall twice in a row, so I don't think that would work. Bishop e3 earlier? When? At the critical point? One of the critical points? You never showed the best move? Okay. The best move here is queen b7. And apparently I'm better here. Slightly better. But like, that's hard to understand. It's not as much... I feel like when you trade the queens, it's like kind of automatically your attack usually isn't as strong. And he's got his pieces out and his rooks are fine. There's nothing wrong with his pawn structure, and this is a problem piece. So I just didn't really consider this at all. I didn't consider trading queens. But yeah, again, like, how does he defend this? Could move the rook, I guess. Then I'd take pawn. I don't know. I feel like I'd lose this from both sides. It's another perpetual. I wanted to win. Like, that's the thing. I could have taken a draw several times, and he told me that. It was like, I wasn't really, like, I wanted to win, you know? Like, the only reason I take a draw is if the game just ends up being a draw. Like, I don't want to just force one when the game has just started. Can you uncut the lefts? I don't know how the board keeps getting messed up, but I don't change it. This line, yeah, he can force a draw if he knows about a lot of theory in an opening that you play because you don't want to know theory. He could force a draw out of the opening against a lower-rated player, but that wouldn't make much sense, would it? That's the point. The point is that they have to make the choice, not me. They have to decide whether they're going to force a draw or be worse against me. That's why it's good to play against high-rated players. But that was my first game playing e5 ever, and it was a mind fuck.